What's happening, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Looper Norris here, back with another album reaction episode, breaking down the beats, the vocals, the lyricism. I'll give you guys a conclusion afterwards, how I personally feel about the album, a rating out of 10. For today's episode, we got Kevin Gates, The Ceremony, from earlier this year. This was one of the first albums to come out for 2024. It was January 26th when he released it. Kevin Gates, The Ceremony. I'm gonna go over a few of the tracks with you so that you guys have a good idea of how this sounds like. Then I'll basically talk about the album based off of what I heard. I heard the album before making this video, so I already have a rating and a whole summary of like what I want to talk about. We're about to get through this one. Before we do, just gotta mention a few things about my music. We got the new song Boots coming out this week, Sunday, July 14th, 12 o'clock, right on the dot. The next song that I'll be releasing, I'll talk about that more after Boots is released. And I have a big time mixtape I'll be dropping October 4th of this year. This one's called #INDICA. 15 songs on this one. I produced all of the tracks, called #INDICA, and I'm gonna drop this mixtape October 4th. Get ready for that. Plenty of music, plenty of content I'll be releasing all year long. Make sure you're subscribed to the channel. Comment below, let me know if I got the ratings wrong, right? If you would give it a different rating. Let me know down below, man. The comments are only gonna help me and my page, so I really appreciate that. The likes, of course, too. Kevin Gates, The Ceremony. It's about 18 songs on this one, I believe. I'm gonna go through a few of the songs. Kevin Gates, The Ceremony, his most recent album. This is a rapper from Baton Rouge, Louisiana. He reminded me a little bit of like Young Jeezy type of rapper. Not like super lyrical, but just really good at like choosing the right words to say. The type of punchlines that he puts together, he's really good at picking the right things to say. First, I'll play Walmart.
I'm up in rank, I got it blue. I'm in the store with my little mood, but he didn't hear when you maneuver. Quarantine still jumping. I'm retarded, swear to God. I'm getting 40 in New Orleans. Just throw a party and be.
I don't apologize.
And that's okay with me. Now I'm diplomatic status, baby, stay away from me. I didn't grow into my power, I do things you can't believe. Keep your head up when told you won't be nothing. Told that a lot.
So this one's a little yeah.
Relationship in the bed, trying to get your groove, make you swagging like you have the best. Ain't no disrespect when we both wrong, we can make plans to action. No games, you say we cannot walk away on the backwards. Wanna get behind that ass in traffic, love the way.
So this one's called Healing.
Releasing all my things I deal with on a daily, driving on person insane. I can relate, I gave my love in exchange. Got shitted on, and it's on the daily. And the progression is a test.
Alright, well, we'll stop there. Kevin Gates, The Ceremony. This one wasn't so good, man. I hate to say it because like Kevin Gates is pretty sick rapper, man. Like this is one of the few rappers where I actually thought could bring a lot of great ideas in the mainstream world, because I knew he was going to become a rapper where he's like in the limelight and he's like super famous and hits after hits. I think he's under a major label too, where they're going to push him to make hits instead of songs that he actually wants to make that you would normally hear in his mixtapes. He's a mixtape type of rapper, but like this is probably one of the worst albums I've heard in a long time, man. Probably one of the worst albums I've heard in my entire life. I don't know, bro. Like I thought this album was gonna be way better. It disappointed big time, man. I'll break it down. It's not really a whole lot I could really say, man, but like the beats are good for the most part. It gets a little bit too repetitive. Like there's some beats on here where it's like it doesn't sound like the producer tried at all. Like it's kind of just like you hear the concept, I don't know, it gets like boring, man. The type of instruments that they're using to develop the beats are good. You can definitely tell that they're using like high quality, super expensive equipment to put together the beats. You can definitely hear that. And even in like the vocals and just the tracks as a whole, you can hear how expensive the equipment is basically through the music, even through like the post-production of the music. You can tell that the type of equipment that was used to put the music together was definitely at a high level, but like it's like they wasted it though. You know what I mean? Like, a lot of these beats just sound super repetitive and just doesn't sound like the producer tried very hard. You know for a fact that there's millions of dollars that's being thrown around when it comes to the production of this whole album. It's Kevin Gates, you know what I mean? Like, he's a pretty famous rapper, so you know for a fact that the major label that he's under put a lot of money together in order to put this album together. He should have had a lot more features on the album too, man. I think he only had like 3 features altogether. He only had one song with like 2 features on the track. Every other track, he's on his own. The only thing with that, I think that works out for rappers that are more like independent and underground, and they're willing to try like more experimental sounds, and instead of like the same generic sound that you would hear more from like major label artists. Because this guy is like a major label artist, this guy can pull 5 million views off of just one song. Like, he's that type of rapper. He's super famous. Borderline pop, if anything. Like, after listening to the album, it's borderline pop music when you really look at it. Kind of like the sound that Drake would kind of go for when it comes to like whenever he makes an album where he needs it to like really take off and like really sell. You know, that style of Drake. That's kind of what this album reminds me of. It's more like a generic, trying to hit the charts, trying to make hits and sell, and has like a pop star like aspect to it, more so than a hip-hop album that you can like sit down and like really listen to and take in. He has a few songs like that, but 80% of it is borderline pop. He should have put more money into like features for this album. I think it would have made it a little bit better, but he only has like 2 people featured on this album, which I'm very surprised about, because he's the type of rapper that works with other rappers pretty often. So I thought that was pretty surprising. Like, there's maybe 3 or 4 beats where they stand out big time. The beats that are really good, that stand out off of this album, I think he did a good job lyrically on those tracks. 4 out of 18 songs I think are like pretty good. It kind of brings me back to like Kevin Gates like mixtape days. Like, those 4 songs kind of do that for me, but the other 14 songs on the album are just like, I don't want to say they're trash, but like I had a fast forward, or I should say skip through a lot of the songs on this one, man. It's just like most of the songs on here, it doesn't sound like he tries at all, bro. It just sounds like he's just slapping words together, making verses that kind of sound good maybe to him through his ears, and he's just kind of like leaving it at that, man. It sounds like he took every beat, maybe freestyled his verse and just recorded it and then moved on to the next track. Like, the whole album seems like that. It's either a song where he kind of freestyled the verse and slapped it onto the beat. It's either that, or he's trying to make like a pop hit, sort of like either like a Drake style or like a Lil Baby style. He sounds like Lil Baby a lot too. He sounds like he's ripping off Lil Baby style just a bit on a lot of the songs on here. Just like a lot of rappers, I guess, nowadays in the mainstream world, they'll try to sound like Lil Baby, but I get a lot of that throughout this album. Him trying to sound too much like Lil Baby. Not necessarily him trying to sound like Drake, but it's sort of the same concept, trying to give you the same generic hooks and the same generic lines. The beat's super generic. He's got the video girls in the video. There's like a couple of songs where he's trying to make like some type of like love story, and you know what I mean. He's singing on the track, and there's very little like rap lines on here. It's just full, like the whole album's just full of that, bro. And like, it's just like, you know what I mean? You can't learn off of that. There's nothing that you can learn off of when you're just talking about that. There's nothing you can take and just talk about and like move around and shape this way. Like, there's nothing to like take from this album, you know what I mean? It's just like ear candy. Like, straight up, it's just ear candy. That's where the Drake comparisons come from. He's not actually rapping like Drake, but it's like the similar like outlook when it comes to putting together the songs and even the style of the beats too. Like, it's all air candy, bro. That's why I'm very disappointed with this album. I thought it was gonna be way better just from what I remembered from Kevin Gates. Maybe it was just because those were mixtapes and this is a major label album that he's putting out under a major label. A lot of people have to make money off the album, and you know what I mean, there's a lot of money moving around compared to like a mixtape where it's just him in the studio and he's got a bunch of his people making beats for him, and he's just kind of like rapping the way Kevin Gates would rap, right? Instead of working with a team of like record label people that are pushing him to make his songs as generic as possible so that it's easier to sell. That's my only thing about it, man. Outside of maybe 4 songs, like Do It Again, I think Do It Again is his best song. There's only like 3 or 4 songs like Do It Again, you know what I mean, where the beat's just like so hard. Like that beat is crazy. He should have made his album like that the entire way, man, and maybe had like 2 or 3 songs that were more lovey-dovey. Like Lil Yeah is like a straight up like love song. That's almost like an R&B song when you really look at it, right? If he had like a few songs like that and most of the album was like Do It Again, this would have been like, I probably would have gave it a higher rating. I would have enjoyed the album a lot more, basically what I'm getting at. But there's only like 3 or 4 songs like Do It Again, and every other song on the album is just so generic sounding compared to the mixtape version of Kevin Gates. Like, you know what I mean? Like, where did that Kevin Gates go? At the same time, there's obviously like a good reason why he made an album this way. Makes more money, makes the record label more money, you know what I mean? He probably didn't have a lot of power when it comes to how he wants the album to sound like. So, you know what I mean? It was probably one of those situations. So I think mixtape Kevin Gates is like on another level. When he's just giving us straight bars and just on like a hard beat, I think that's the best version of Kevin Gates. At the same time, you have to make your money too. If he's making millions of dollars off the record label, off of teaming up with the record label, then most rappers wouldn't turn that down. So, you know what I'm saying? This is a reaction segment. This is a album reaction segment. I gotta go off of what the music is telling me and not what the money and the fame is telling me. So, you know what I mean? Because it's that way, I didn't like this album at all, man. But it probably did well in terms of sales. He probably made a lot of money off the album, but the post-production is very strong, and I think the equipment that he uses is at a high level. So, you know what I mean? Everything is super crystal clear, and the post-production is very clear, and the music itself, man, is just like so underwhelming, so mid. Yeah, man, I didn't like this album at all, bro. In terms of a rating, like, I'm sorry, but I'm giving this one a 5.7 out of 10, bro. Like, I thought about giving it a 5 out of 10, but I think the last few songs of the album saved it, to be completely honest. Like Do It Again and I Don't Apologize, Broken Men. So I think the last few songs on the album saved it just a bit and brought the rating to 5.7. And I think just the overall post-production, like just like I said earlier, the post-production, how everything was like edited and how crystal clear all the instruments and his vocals sound, that aspect of the album probably kept it a little bit over a 5 out of 10. But 5.7 out of 10, bro. Like, very underwhelming album. Basically, like no lyricism, very mid beats, some beats are pretty boring. Borderline pop star album. It's more of like a pop album than a hip hop album, I'll have to say. And maybe that's what brought the rating down just a bit too. Yeah, this one's pretty bad, man. Kevin Gates, The Ceremony. Really appreciate you guys viewing this reaction video. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Let me know, comment below if you would give it a higher rating. I don't think there's anyone out there that would give it a lower rating, but if you give it a higher rating, let me know down below. If I'm absolutely crazy for giving it a 5.7 out of 10. Got the new song Boots coming out this Sunday, 12 o'clock, right on the dot, so check that out once it comes out. I got hashtag INDICA. This is a new mixtape, 15-track mixtape I'll be dropping October 4th. So make sure you guys listen to that once it's dropped. I'll be promoting it all summer long up until the point we get to October. Plenty more singles to drop in between that time. So, you know what I mean? Don't worry about that. I got lots more music to come, lots more content. Just make sure you're subscribed to the channel. Like, comment. Yeah, that's all I got, man. Appreciate you guys watching. I'm out of here.